What would you do if your crush takes her clothes off in front of you? Little Wakana is amazed, looking at the Hina dolls which is shown by his grandfather Kaoru. That is made by him and his friends. Wakana is fascinated. And he is inspires to create his own Hina dolls, but his friend don't like his passion for the dolls and she thinks that it's supposed to be a girl thing and ends her relationship with him. In the present, Wakana wakes up from the noise by his phone alarm and says good morning to the head of the doll that motivated him into pursuing doll making. Heading downstairs, Wakana says good morning to his grandfather, and prays to the altar of his parents and grandmother. His breakfast is prepared. Wakana discusses with his grandfather how he overburdens himself with work at night, to which Wakana brushes off, realizing that Wakana doesn't have much talent for creating doll faces, but the costumes he creates are indeed top tier. The discussion then, at that point, changes to if Wakana has any companions, to which Wakana proclaims that he does. They're simply all occupied with doing their own things. Afterward, Wakana make his ways to school and he admits to himself that even in high school he doesn't have any friends. The cause for this is mainly due to his obsession with Hina dolls, as it's not a common interest with his peers. As Wakana laments over his shortcomings, Ma-Rin is incoming onto his desk, banging her head. In the wake of recuperating from the fall and saying sorry for the occurrence, Ma-Rin sees some dark ink to his left side arm. Figuring it's a cut or something like that, flustered Wakana responds that it's fine, despite it not being so. However, Ma-Rin understands and leaves. Wakana then cogitates about the ink on his arm and notes his envy of Ma-Rin, how a lot of the personality quirks that she has he lacks. At the front of the room, Naoa tells her friends about an incident involving Ma-Rin. Apparently the two had their hair done the day before, and when a guy tried to hit on Ma-Rin, he disparaged her charms as lame, so Ma-Rin retorts that he was lame and left the salon, leaving the man despondent. In her defense, Martin claims that the man interpreted her as something she wasn't, that he shouldn't judge her for her interests. Hearing this strikes a chord with Wakana, who overhears their conversation and thinks even though she's in a separate world from his, they have a commonality between them. After school, Wakana stays behind to put the chairs on their desks and is soon joined by Ma-Rin, who helps him because she has cleaning duty. Though curious to know why he's there, Ma-Rin asks if Wakana was pressured to work there, and he reluctantly admits that indeed he was when his so-called friends and classmates told him that he was so reliable he couldn't help but agree to help them. Ma-Rin argues that they don't think he's reliable, they think it's easy for them to exploit him to do menial labor. She follows up by saying that he should stand up for himself more and continues working. That night at his home, Wakana cuts his hand, and as his grandfather is retrieving a band-aid for him, he recalls what Ma-Rin had said to him earlier that day. He then realizes that the sewing machine he was using is broken. Upon returning with the bandage and hearing the news about the sewing machine, his grandfather states that it's finally kicked the bucket and they'll have to get a new one. Sad that he doesn't have a sewing machine to use, Wakana has an epiphany to use the one at school. The following day, Wakana uses the sewing machine in the sewing practice room and is impressed by how easy it is to use. While he's enamored by his doll's head, Marine abruptly enters the room, causing an awkward pause between the two. In the middle of this, Wakana nearly drops the doll's head and talks with it, only to realize that Marine not only saw, but also heard him and glares at him. Wakana then goes into a panic, believing his social life to be over. However, on the contrary, Marine loves the fact that he can use a sewing machine. Not only that, but Ma-Rin compliments the Hina doll head that Wakana carries around, which internally elevates him. When asked by Ma-Rin if he made it, Wakana answers that his grandfather made it and that he's only good with costumes. Hearing this, Ma-Rin starts to strip off her clothes, and has him see her wearing a black outfit that she's been making, showing an example of what she was trying to copy in her dress. Wakana speaks unintentionally currently by reviewing the outfit, hurting Ma-Rin's feelings, cross-hitting himself to Ma-Rin. She forgives him and claims that she made her outfit as a form of cosplay. A character named Shizukaden, because she doesn't have a sewing machine at home and her skill of sewing is lacking. She begs Wakana to create her outfit for her, moved by not only her compliment from earlier, but also everything that he recalled that she said that resonated with him. Wakana agrees to help Ma-Rin, but admits he's never made clothing for a human. This makes Ma-Rin overjoyed and offers to help as best as she can, and also divulges the character's backstory, which irks Wakana. Wakana confesses to Ma-Rin that has never actually heard of the Baby Sims Slippery Girls 2. So Ma-Rin gives him a rundown of the series, as Ma-Rin explains the series to Wakana. He's put off by all the overtly mature details of the game's plot mechanics. Internally, Wakana is at a loss as he's unable to comprehend what Martin is trying to elaborate to him. Figuring that this is just some joke of the sort, Wakana comes to realize that Ma-Rin is completely serious about the game's info. Back to Ma-Rin. She goes on to explain her fascination with the character she hopes to cosplay Shizukaten. When Ma-Rin asks if Wakana understands her, Wakana internally responds that he doesn't have the slightest clue. However, he does come to realize that, when Marion is talking about something she likes, it looks like she is genuinely having fun. Once Ma-Rin's explanation is over, Wakana asks the question if Slippery Girls 2 is a sus. Ma-Rin confirms this, which leads to Wakana asking if therefore the game is age restricted, but to this question Ma-Rin plays dumb. He then inquires why she likes a game centered towards a male audience, but Ma-Rin claims that lots of females do and that gender doesn't matter if you really like something. That phrase Ma-Rin uses triggers an old memory from Wakana's past, and instead of being downtrodden by it, he agrees with Ma-Rin. To help Wakana with his project, Ma-Rin pulls out a beginner's guide to cosplaying and outfit making. A refrain from starting anything like getting necessary supplies together and taking measurements as it is starting to get light. At home, Wakana's grandfather Kaoru notes his surprise to see how early he's in bed and that he won't be opening the shop tomorrow in order to purchase a new sewing machine. Looking over the book again, Wakana is surprised by certain things that he found in the book. The following morning, Ma-Rin visits Wakana's place and after giving him a cheesecake offering, she barges in and heads straight for Wakana's room. As Ma-Rin is interested in the brushes he uses for his dolls, Wakana suffers an anxiety attack because a girl is in his room. Regaining his composure, Ma-Rin snaps him out of his trance and asks if he wants to start working. Ma-Rin wants to start with the measurements. However, Wakana wants someone else to help her with it, as she'll have to be in her underpants for that. Not to be denied a full workday, Ma-Rin reveals that she wore a two-piece bikini just for the occasion. Still, however, Wakana is unnerved by Ma-Rin's appearance and is irked when she touches him. From there, Wakana motivates himself to measure Ma-Rin, but is startled by her appearance. While she's turned around, Wakana asks her if she feels uncomfortable only wearing a swimsuit, to which she responds that she doesn't and cares only for the cosplay costume. Slapping his face really hard with both of his hands, Wakana motivates himself to finally start the measurements. Once they're completed, Ma-Rin asks about shoes, as most the ones she tries to wear hurt her feet. To that point, Wakana surmises that the circumference of her feet must be the problem, and tries to get a chair to check her foot measurements. But Ma-Rin insists she sit on his futon instead despite protests against it. Wakana succumbs to Ma-Rin's whims and takes her meds from there. The next thing they measure is Ma-Rin's bust, which of course leads to an awkward moment for Wakana. Once that is complete, Ma-Rin suggests that they measure her inseam and bust point. Again, Wakana flatly rejects doing it, and after another awkward moment for Wakana, Ma-Rin proposes that she'll do it herself. The results of the measurements have Wakana shocked out of his mind, for no apparent reason, as he put it. Noting down the measurement, Wakana prepares to do the last measurement, and during its Wakana notices that Ma-Rin is blushing, and figures she's too hot and leaves to turn on the AC. By the end of the day, all the measurements have been taken, and Wakana asks Ma-Rin for references to the character outfit that she wants. So Ma-Rin gives Wakana both games as a reference, and is flustered when he sees her not fully dressed in her old outfit. Later that night, Kaoru catches Wakana playing one of the games, and chalks it up to him being at that age, but is still shocked by the fact that he's taking notes. To know what happened next, stay with us by subscribing. So with this, the video came to end, and thank you for watching.